So there are some things that you guys need to know before you consider or buy an Indian Chief. And I'm gonna tell you guys all about it. But stay to the end, we're gonna do a real life 0 to 60, and the number might surprise you. Now this is an Indian Chief, not to be confused with the Indian Chief Vintage that has a windshield and leather saddlebags. Currently, there is no Harley-Davidson counterpart to the Chief, but if there was, it would look like a Road King with no saddlebags. This is the Indian Chief Dark Horse, and I know I said they don't come with a windshield and saddlebags. Well, this one was, someone put them on there. Honestly, I'd prefer them not to be on there. And they call it the Dark Horse because everything is black. The wheels are black, the fenders are black, the engine's black, the frame is black, it's all black. Let's do the montage. While the Indian Chief is a modern classic where it looks like a classic, but it's got these cool, you know, glossy colors and real cool color schemes. The Dark Horse still has that classic style, but if Batman rode a motorcycle, come on, he's gonna be riding this. Now it's powered by a 111 cubic inch V-twin air-cooled engine. And it's not just any engine, it's called the Thunderstroke. Thunderstroke! It is the coolest name for an engine I've ever heard. And it pushes out about 120 foot-pounds of torque, which is pretty decent, which is pretty good considering the bike weighs 777 pounds. That's a pretty good number. That's not bad. It puts the power to the wheels using its 6-speed gearbox and the belt drive. There's something very, very unique about the way the Indian feels. It's almost like you hop on a bike and it's a modern bike. You hop on this and you're like, this must be what it felt like to have ridden an Indian 80 years ago. No, it's not. It's clearly not. They were completely different bikes. There's probably nothing that has that same feeling, but something as simple as like these grips. You would never see grips like this on a normal motorcycle. You hop on that and you're like, yeah, okay. This is exactly what it felt like 80 years ago. But what I love most about this motorcycle is just the simplicity of the bike. Look up here, there's 2 buttons. You get your kill switch and your start switch, and then your cruise control. There's only 1 button on the whole dash. These are not even buttons. Maybe they are, but they're not. I can't get them to do anything. You have 1 button on the dash, and the thing is you don't even need it. Because look, the bike's turned off. That's it. As long as you have the proximity key in your pocket, you press 1 button and you're gone. And unlike a Can-Am, this might be the perfect getaway bike. Over here, also simple. You got your horn, high beams, low beams, turn signals. There's not even an extra button on this thing. I love the simplicity of it. There's only 1 gauge on it. Instead of multiple gauges all over the place, you have 1 gauge. And then there's a button back here you can scroll through your tripometer, your tachometer, your air temperature, and a bunch of other things. I don't know what they are. Guys, I'm dying to take this thing for a spin. Let's do it. All right, guys, before we test drive this bike, let's do the words of wisdom. Exodus 14:14. The Lord will fight for you while you kept silent. I'm going to admit I have no context as to what's going on there. But I like that verse. Guys, put on the, first of all, these gloves match this bike perfectly. These are the M1 Moto gloves, the 508s, one of the only motorcycle gloves lined with Kevlar. Now the first thing, you can buy these at, click on the link below, bikesandbeardsgear.com. The first thing you'll notice when you hop on this bike is you can feel a little bit difference with the throttle by wire. It's just like, a little bit of a learning curve. I'm talking a little bit like, when you're like, oh, I noticed it. Just a little different. After about 30 seconds, you're just normal. The second thing you notice is how this thing punches. It feels so good. The clutch, incredibly light. The shifting, very, very precise. I know a lot of people have this misconception. I don't know if this is coming from the Harley camp or who this is coming from, but they have this idea. They're like, the fit and finish, the quality's not there. That's just not true. That is just not true. I would say victory is on par with Harley-Davidson, if they've not surpassed. I mean, these are high quality machines. These things feel great. And it really punches. I cannot wait to do the 0 to 60 and see what that is. Comment below right now, what do you think the 0 to 60 number is gonna be? I got an idea in my head. So even though this is a rather large motorcycle, well, you know, I'm gonna go back to a comment I said before about how, and I know someone's annoyed about this. Well, there is no Harley equivalent to this, and they might say, oh, what about the Softail line? This is not a Softail bike. This is a touring chassis, a full-size touring chassis motorcycle. You can't compare it with something smaller. And that's why I would say this is, you know, this is like a Road King. If this was a cheap vintage, it'd be more like the Road King, you know. But it's the Chief, and it has no bags. Although someone did put bags on this. I personally, I like those. I think the bags look cool. The leather brown bags, I think it's a really cool look. This thing handles very well. I mean, this does not feel like a heavy bike. Very, very easy to drive. If you're a motorcycle guy, you know, and you have 8 bikes in your garage, and one of them's not an Indian, I think you're doing it wrong. You're doing something wrong. You have something that you shouldn't have. Get rid of that chopper. You don't ride it anyway. And fit that spot with a bike that you're actually gonna ride, you're gonna love riding. And one of the coolest things about this thing is it is different. You know, where when you roll up to a place and everyone's riding a Harley, and listen, I love Harleys, I got a Harley myself, it is nice to be a little different. You look down here at the gauge, there is a big gear indicator. Probably the biggest number on there is a gear indicator. So you can just glance down before you like try to find that 7th gear, which you're never gonna find. You look down, oh, okay, I'm in 6th gear, I'm topped out. It also has a digital fuel gauge, which is nice and simple. It's got, I don't know, 8 different bars on there. All right, let's see if we can make this. This is great. What a fun bike. What a fun bike to ride. It feels really good. Now, I didn't mention about these things on the side right there, but this is actually done by some professional artist and those things, and he makes, this is one of a kind. This is unique. This is the only one that's, I'm under the impression this is one of a kind. This is the only one that looks like that. These are not like manufactured in a factory. Someone actually makes this. We actually have a certificate proof of these things inside the saddlebags showing what number it is and who the artist was. It's actually really cool and pretty wild looking. Depending on who you are, you might love it, you might hate it. Obviously the guy who put it on there loved it. Obviously if you're Caleb, you hate it. I think it's cool. He said that it's real turquoise. I didn't know turquoise was a material or an element. I thought it was a color. But so these are all pretty real materials. I think it's pretty cool looking. I'm gonna crush this 0 to 60, guys. Just hold on a second. Nobody's got bigger plans of crushing a 0 to 60 right now like I do. All right. Nope. There. I screwed that one up, but it was awesome and super fun. That back tire started spinning, kicked out a little bit, loved it. All right, I'm gonna say that 0 to 60 was pretty bad, but in terms of how much fun I had doing it, I had a lot of fun. So, I don't know, knock a second off. I don't think I had to shift in the third to get there, and I spent a lot of time spinning, so. Now, how does this thing do on the highway? Well, it's made for the highway. That's just the fact of the matter. It's made for the highway. It feels awesome. It really does. And it's got plenty of power that if you have to pass somebody, you don't have to drop a gear. Just roll on that throttle, and you're able to pass anybody as fast as you want. If you start to notice the attention to detail, like the black frame, the black from factory handlebars. All these little cool things that if this was chrome, it would look like a different bike. It would look very different, and a lot of people would want to make it black, and it costs a lot of money to change out handlebars and to make them chrome. And you know, they're also not skinny. They're pretty fat. They're pretty fat bars, and they feel nice and rigid. As much as everyone thinks I hate Indian, I think Indian's a great company. I think they're cool bikes. I think they're very cool motorcycles. I mean, I hop on this bike and I feel like I've been riding this thing my whole life. This thing just fits like a glove. Like, this is what motorcycles should feel like. Now, if you wanted to, you can turn them bars up a little bit and have like mini 8s. I like them. I like them right where they're at. You also notice that there's a lot of space between my knees and my hands. So if you're a tall fella, you're gonna have plenty of room in here. Thunderstroke. And here comes Sean riding the Thunderstroke. Now, just like Harley has the tire shredder kit and the different stages of performance for their Harley engines, Indian has the same thing. So you can actually do a lot of cool modifications to push out some big tire destroying power and make this bike really become a rocket. Alright guys, that wraps up the test drive. Click on the next video right up here. We'll see you guys later. Remember, it is not what you're riding, but where are you going. We'll see you guys next time.